Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2Us of 2Us Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2Us Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Hi everyone, Kelly here. Just wanted to alert you to the fact that this week's sound quality is not our normal. I sound like I'm coming out of a tin can. Yes, I did it. I forgot to plug in my microphone and got recorded by the not-so-great microphone on the computer. So please bear with us, and I will do better next time.
Hi.
Hello there, Marsha.
Hi, Kelly.
How's it going this week?
Pretty good. Yeah, gorgeous. Somebody commented that we always talk about the weather in our podcast.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just continue talking about the weather. But, you know, in Seattle, the fall is like the best. It's so beautiful and beautiful sunny day today. I don't know, 68, 69, something like that, perfect temperature. You know, the air is cool, but the sun is hot. I took Enzo out for a nice long walk. You know, in the fall when the skies are just that really, really deep blue, and then the clouds are big, white, fluffy clouds. And, you know, we live, you know, overlooking Puget Sound, and so the water is just blue, and the sailboats are out there. Yeah.
Well, it feels like fall here, too. Just to continue with the weather discussion. Right. Although, for us, fall means a few days of like 90-degree weather, which is really nice. You remember in 2013 when you came down for my niece's wedding? Mm-hmm. And it was in September 30th, but it was probably 90 degrees that weekend. Yeah. Well, we had a day like that this weekend, which was heavenly. I really like. I don't want it all the time, but boy, I was so happy to have that really nice day. And then you know, evenings are cool, mornings are cool. Mm-hmm. And today was back down in the 60s, which is kind of a bummer, but it's fine. Yeah. I can live with it. The fire is not out yet, though.
Wow.
The Soberanes fire is still going. It's only about 70-something% contained. Mm-hmm. And this weekend with the hot weather was really bad air quality.
So that fire's been going on 2 months? No.
Since July. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, since sometime in July.
Hmm. Well, hopefully it'll soon, they'll get it contained.
They now say the end of September, they hope to have it mostly contained. So maybe not 100%, but close.
All right, good. In the meantime, what are you working on?
Well, I have been working on the last time we recorded, I was still in the talking stages of the octopus work. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I decided to cast it on because I needed some meeting knitting. I was going to Modesto for a conference. And I never made it to the knitting shop because, alas, closed on Sunday. Mm. So I didn't make it there. But I did bring the octopus, and since the head was mostly just stockinette in the round with some decreases, I just went round and round and round and round and round, and I got almost the whole head done by the time I got home. So yeah, that's exciting.
And I just have a question, having attended meetings in my past life. If I had brought knitting to a meeting, that would have been frowned upon. But your meetings, it's not, right? I mean...
Well, I actually don't care.
Oh, that's the difference. Yes, I always care about all this stuff.
Well, I started knitting at meetings with charity knitting. So if anyone looked at me in any way, or you know, if I sensed judgment, when they asked me what I was knitting, I would always say, "Oh, I'm making a Project Linus blanket for children who need blankets because of some trauma." And like, who can say anything bad
right.
about that? And so that's how I started. And that kind of gave me the wherewithal to say, I don't care if you don't like what I'm doing, I'm knitting. And so now I bring it all the time, and I just don't worry about whether people think it's bad.
Well,
or not.
and are your meetings, are you having to participate in the discussion, or is it mostly you're sitting and listening to a presentation?
This was almost all presentation. And then, I can knit without looking, so I do make sure that I'm looking at people, while I'm going. Although if I have to look down, I don't worry about that too much either. But then if there's a time where we had to get together and work in our teams and make a plan for this project that we're going to be doing, then I wasn't knitting because I was helping put together the poster and taking notes and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I don't have to be actively taking notes on single thing that's said, I'm knitting.
Yeah.
Honestly, it helps me pay attention.
I wish when you go to the symphony, I think I've mentioned this before, but when you go to the symphony, if they would turn the lights up just a little bit so you could sit there and knit. When you go to I take my mom to the opera, and that I would not knit because there's something to watch, or like a movie or something. Well, actually, my father always told me about his had a cousin who would go to the movies and sit in the movies and knit because she couldn't, she didn't have to look at, which I was kind of amazed. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but when I go to the symphony, it's like I don't know, sometimes. Okay, I'm going to reveal something about myself that I guess I'm not that sophisticated. Sometimes I'm like, some of these pieces are beautiful and engaging, and some of them are so difficult to sit there and listen to. And if I could just have, especially some of the modern pieces, if I could just have my knitting, I would do a lot better, But anyway.
Yeah.
But Kelly, I am practicing. We will get back to your projects, but I am practicing not looking at people, not in terms of knitting, but in terms of the dog, because we've talked about this before, that you don't even see people's reactions when you're walking the dog. I do, and so I've had a couple of experiences, not positive experiences, and so I'm really aware of how people are reacting to the dog, but our discussions about it, I've actually been really trying to just be aware that maybe somebody doesn't like the dog and keep the dog, but don't let that stop me from doing certain things. Yeah. It's not like I'm taking him any place that he shouldn't go. I just, like when you're in the park.
People make judgments about the way you train or the way you handle, just the same way that they make judgments about other people's children. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same.
Yeah. Well, and
you're better off if you just ignore it and focus on the thing that you're doing.
And unless you've had a dog, or in the case, unless you've had children, it's really easy to sit and say, why can't they shut that kid up? But until you've had a child, in the grocery store screaming and they want the balloon at the counter,
Right.
Yeah, so you just have to turn a blind eye to people. But anyway, okay, enough of that. Projects. Back to your octopus.
So yes, my octopus. So the head is done, and this thing, I think I knew this when I looked, because it says right in the pattern, and I think it says on the project page. By the way, it's Opus the Octopus by Kate Carter Evans. It's a nitty pattern. This octopus is life-size. Life-size, like adult, full-size, big octopus at the aquarium size. Mm-hmm. And so the head is about as big as my head. And the tentacles are really long. I've done the underbelly part, and now I'm working on the tentacles.
So how big is it going to be, the tentacles, when you're done? What's the
They're maybe, I want to say, not quite 3 feet long.
Oh my goodness! Each one. So if you spread it out, it's like 6 feet in diameter. It'll
cover the table in the kitchen, I think, from end to end, at least. Might even hang over the edge. Yeah, it's large. Think large octopus at the aquarium in a tank. That's the size.
And this is life size. It's a life size octopus.
Life size octopus.
Okay, now you guys are going to have so much fun placing this octopus all around the house like you did with the hippopotamus.
Yes. Yes. It is going to be fun. It's very realistic looking. I really like the pattern. Mm-hmm. The tentacles are done in intarsia, which that sounds more complicated than it really is. You're changing colors along a straight line. Mm-hmm. and then you fold them. They're not in the round, they're flat, and then you fold them closed and sew up the seam.
Okay.
So the bottom part of the tentacle is the light color, and the top part of the tentacle is the dark.
Okay.
The darker orange color.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm making really good progress on that.
What are you going to stuff it with? Wool?
The pattern actually has an elaborate process of using wool roving for the tentacles, so that they actually get lighter and thinner as you get to the bottom. So they're not super puffy. So I'm not sure. I don't have roving like that, like top to use, but I have lots of wool, carded bats of wool.
So I'm going back a little bit, but remember at Black Sheep Gathering, there was that little thing that you bought. Now, see, that's so descriptive.
It's that called the Diz.
Yes, and then you would make the roving with like you would pull the fiber through this comb type of thing, and then the Diz would make it into the roving. Did you ever get that? Order that?
I bought it. Yeah.
Did you
I have a Diz.
Did you buy it?
I bought it there.
Oh, you did?
The last
Okay.
day. Mm-hmm.
So, could you make roving? Can you take the bats and make them into roving?
I think so. Okay. I hadn't thought about that, but I think I could pull it through and make it a little bit more skinny.
Yeah.
Because that's, and more aligned.
Yeah.
Because that's the idea. When you align the fiber, then it makes a nice, and you just lay it on top of the tentacles, and then you fold the tentacles over and sew them up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this pattern, and people have made it in like fingering weight to get a smaller octopus, but I'm using DK weight, and it's held double.
Oh yeah,
so it's a pretty firm body, and it's pretty good size gauge.
What size needles are you using?
Size 5.
Okay.
This is a project long in the making. When I first saw this pattern, I fell in love with it and wanted to make it. And then I just, did various things, got in the way. And now I'm finally doing it, and it's really fun.
Well, I've been looking at the pictures on Instagram, and it looks really cute. And also, I did not realize you're holding the yarn double. So it's probably sort of blending the color a little bit more too, right? Because you dye the yarn a speckled look, but that probably is blending it even more, right? So
I didn't realize that. I should have read the pattern, but I didn't realize that the yarn was held double when I dyed the yarn, and I might have made it more variegated, less tonal, if I had known. But I was trying to make it really just kind of a tonal orange. But it's coming out nicely. I'm really pleased with the color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out really well.
I'm excited to see Opus grow. Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I've worked on this week is the Handspun Funky Grandpa cardigan out of the sheep named Charlotte wool. Mm-hmm. And all I really did with that is I finished the sleeve so I could take the size 5 needles that I was using for that cardigan and use them for the octopus. So I put it on the size 1s that it called for, 1 or 1.5, something like that. The smaller needles that it called for to do the ribbing. So one sleeve is completely done now. I got to the ribbing and I did the ribbing. So what have you been working on, Marsha?
Well,
as if I didn't know.
Well, my Frank Spirit Yarn Afghan, the garter squish, is what I've been working on. I would say almost exclusively. I'm about to finish my 8th color, which is a moss green that KM Designs gave me from her stash. And then my 9th color, which I'm going to start I'll probably start it tonight, is a kind of a gray blue that I over-dyed at Jorstad Creek Dye Studios back in, when was that? First or second weekend in July. So I'm coming along. So I now have used 8 of 13 colors. And I actually I've talked about this, but I have a 14th skein that's undyed that I'm just waiting to see if I need to dye that and use it. So it depends on how much of the blue from my dad's sweater that I'm using for the main color, how much of that I have. Because when we were figuring out the size to make and what my yardage was, I knew that it was Cascade 220. That's a skein, I think, is like 3.5 ounces. And I don't remember now for sure, but it's 220 yards, right? So just weighing the sweater, I figured I had about, I shouldn't even speak to this. I think I figured out I had like 2,800 yards.
I think that sounds sounds familiar.
But what I didn't really take into consideration is the waist. Right. So I don't think I did take, that's not really true. I did take into consideration the waist, but I don't think I really thought about the amount of waste. There's more waste than I thought there was. I think I took off like 100 yards or something, but I think it's going to be a lot more than that. And we rounded when we were doing our calculations too. We kind of rounded down in certain circumstances to be more conservative. Yeah. So I'm just going to hold out that 14th skein and just see when I'm getting closer to the end. I have the 2 skeins. They're gold and maroon. I know I want those at the end because they're even though they're not the same yarn or same colors, they're very similar to what I started with at the beginning. So I want to finish with that to make it kind of like bookends. Yeah. So this 14th skein would have to go somewhere before it would have to be number, what's my math? I'm sorry, counting back 14, 30, but you have to be number 12. And so I'm only, what did I say? I'm starting number 9. So I have a little bit of time to figure out sort of how much of this blue I'm going to have. And when I was winding all of when I unraveled the sweater, I wound them into hanks first, I think, washed everything, and then wound it into balls. And the very last hank had a lot of breaks in it. So I'm waiting to save that one till the very end if I need it, or not use it at all if I think I don't need it, because it's going to be very time consuming, I think, to use that last skein because there are so many breaks in it. I will say the other thing is, so right now I'm knitting on the Havasu Falls Shawl because I had to take a break from knitting on the Afghan. I think because they're really large needles, I'm holding 2 skeins of yarn. And it's garter stitch, and it's so big and heavy now. My hands are really, really tired and sore. So I'm just going to sit and take a break. And then also to give our listeners a break, because when I knit on that big, giant Afghan with those big needles, they're always clicking and clacking. So I thought everybody might need a break from that. But so it's really coming along, and I really like it. And it's been really fun. I mean, it's a really great project. And I was touched by the Knitterati with this, with my project, because I've been posting pictures on Instagram every time I start a new color. And West Knits, or Stephen West, the designer, liked one of my pictures that I posted. Woohoo! Cool. Now,
Can I touch your hand?
Yes.
Your phone. Never wash your phone again.
I know, right? Oh, it's so funny. And the thing is, I don't really know if Stephen West is actually managing his own Instagram account. Right. You know, he might be big enough and well-known enough and a big enough marketing machine that someone else is doing this for him. I don't know. Or maybe I choose to believe he's looking at his Instagram account and he's going through and he personally liked my photo. But
right. He went, okay, now this is one that I need to comment on. Yes, I need to hit like on this one.
Yeah. The other thing I should say about my Afghan is last night I had a knock at the door, and it was somebody coming, doing we have a group in Washington State called Washpurg that does a lot of fundraising for political action, a lot of environmental causes and healthcare causes and food safety and nutrition. So anyway, and I always donate to them every year. And so she came in, and this young woman came in, and I said, well, come in and sit down because I have to write you a check. And so she's sitting there, and then she sees my basket with the Afghan in there. Well, actually, I had the basket with the yarn in there, and then I had the Afghan laying across the back of the sofa and looking at it. And she's like, oh, and she started asking me about it. we ended up not talking about Washpurg at all. We ended up talking about the Afghan and Ravelry and what pattern is it, and she's on Ravelry, and what's her name? Yeah. So, yeah, that was actually kind of fun. We had a whole little conversation about that. As I said, I'm just working on Havasu Falls. I've got a little over 250 stitches on the needles right now, and I think I have to have 320, I believe.
Okay.
Or 350. I can't remember now what it was, but it's over 300 stitches I have to have. And then I'll start the lace. So I've got quite a ways to go because I'm just every row I increase 2 stitches.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to be working on this for a little bit longer.
You have a while to go.
Yeah. So that's it for projects. I'm not, there's just been a lot going on here, gardening, house repairs, caring for my mom, dog stuff. Oh, dog stuff, Kelly. I did sign up finally for dog training. So I'm going tonight at 7 is his first class for Obedience 2. And Friday at noon, I think, is we're doing Agility 1. So I decided I'm going to go try and take 2 classes a week, Agility 1 and Obedience 2.
Fun. Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Because
he's going to be so happy.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, I find when you have when you have a class, well, let me just say me, this is how I am. If I know I have the class, I'm doing more with the training in between classes than I do when I know there isn't a class. So, I do a little bit with him, but not like I was doing when I was taking the classes every week. So this will be really good for me more than him, I think, to get me busy, and following up and because this is pretty critical. He's now at 9 months. He turned 9 months on September 5th. So he needs to get a lot better. He's good. He's really good. Like Kelly, he stands when we're going to go out for a walk or we're going to go out to the car. He always waits at the front door. He doesn't just, he doesn't bolt out the door. He just stands there and he waits. I'm pretty confident, but still he'll walk from the house to the car without his leash. Or he'll walk, or back into the house without his leash on. And he'll come when you call. We've been taking him to the park, and he's pretty good about coming. Either at the dog park or there's a park near our house that we go, under cover of darkness, and let him off leash. And I just call him back. Maybe 5 times I'll call him back and give him a treat. So he's now really good about coming back to us. So I would be much more comfortable taking him to when we went to Carmel. Yeah. I was really anxious, but you said, because we had Rudy, he would come back because he would follow her. I think he would probably come back on his own now, I think, without. Oh, good. So I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable about that, but we still need to work on it. But I just think the agility would be really good for his brain. He's a really good dog, and he's not doing anything, bad dog behaviors that come from just being bored. But I think he's so smart and funny. I think he just really will enjoy the agility. Yeah. 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 But, so anyway.
We'll hear about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Cool. So I'll report in on it.
Okay.
So that's it for projects.
All right. Well, our listeners have been busy. I have seen some really cool projects in the group, the place where they can share their projects.
Yeah, I know. It's been really fun to see what people are doing.
Yeah. So there's one that I particularly wanted to talk about because it relates to our last episode and some other rants that I've had.
Oh, okay.
So it's Kent, and he has a sweater called Wood and Water that I saw, and it's made out of Noro yarn. And I went to his project page, and he has a really elaborate description of the color management that he did, which I think is really interesting. He took the Noro yarns and he unraveled them and made sure they were the same, because you know how Noro is sort of notorious for having knots, and then suddenly the color repeat pattern just suddenly goes berserk.
Well, and so can I ask, what do you say when you said he unraveled them? Do you mean he just took them out of the skein, or did he actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
He laid them out before he started knitting. There's a picture of them all sort of on his dining room table. So he could say, like, okay, this one's going green and then brown and then blue and then whatever and whatever, right? And so he made sure, of course they're not exactly, but they're the same color progression. And so if they didn't have the same color progression, he made some adjustments, like he broke it and fixed it, so they did. And then he had another colorway that was complementary or maybe similar, and so he wound skeins, like he made like a double colorway. Mm-hmm. So he'd have like the one colorway yarn plus the other colorway yarn, and then repeat the first one and then the second one. That's what it looks like he's doing. So he has sort of a progression of colors that will stay uniform throughout the sweater. So that I thought was very impressive.
Yes.
I was reading through all the detail about that. And the sweater, I think, is a nice one. It's a men's sweater. It's the Lumberjack sweater by Marzina Kolacek. Mm-hmm. And it's the kind of sweater that has, like the sweaters that have the placket in the front and then like the shawl collar that you can roll up, and the placket has like 3 buttons. Mm-hmm. Henley's not the right word because Henley doesn't usually have the shawl collar part. But it's kind of a rounded collar and then this button placket in the front. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's very, very pretty. And I was super impressed by this idea of taking the 2 colorways and putting them together and making sure that the color progressions didn't go astray the way sometimes Nora does. Mm-hmm. But the thing that really caught my eye in the description is, in his project notes, is he said that in the pattern, the arm side depth was too shallow. So now,
oh yes, now
arm
I know.
side. This is a word that I did not know. ARMSCYE. It's your armpit hole. It's your armhole. It's called the arm side. And so here is a men's sweater with an arm side depth that is too shallow. And then someone else commented, too, I think it was Marianne, Middle-Aged Pearl, about she always has the same problem that I do with the armholes being the arm side depth being too shallow. So now I have a vocabulary to talk about this problem. So I will be ranting even more because now I have the proper vocabulary. But I thought that was very funny, that here's the same thing that we've been talking about in the last episode, and it's even being found in men's patterns.
Yeah.
It must be the decade of the toothpick arms.
Well, yeah. I guess our designers just need to start listening to our rants.
I know. Yeah, why aren't those designers listening to our rants? Oh.
But I do think it is a style thing. I really, I think it's a style thing, and it'll probably change in a few years to big giant, armholes. Who knows?
Arm side.
Yeah, arm
the
side.
Arm side depth will increase. We'll send more up. I always like what I don't know how else to say it except the armhole is too small and it's choking my armpit.
Yeah.
Now I know how to say it. So, and then the other project that I saw that I think is really cool and very intriguing to me is Hockey Rachel had shared a dress that she's making. Mm-hmm. It's called the Cousteau dress, and I think she says it's a test knit. So there may be a pattern that she just can't share with us yet, but it's really cool looking. And it's making me sort of tempted to make a dress. Although the idea of an itchy wool, I'd have to find something that wasn't itchy wool. The idea of an itchy wool dress, how hot that would be, plus how itchy that would be, is a little bit challenging for me to think about. Oh, and before, I know you have some to talk about too, but before, that just reminds me, before you do talk about it, one of the podcasts that I listen to, Carolina Fiber Girls. One of the co-hosts, it's two women co-hosts, and Janice and Ann. And Janice is making pajama pants out of sock leftovers, and I can barely listen when she talks about these pajamas. I'm sure I've looked at pictures and they look cute, but the idea of wearing wool knit pajama pants. It's like, I just can't even wrap my mind.
It's like a hair shirt, right? It's like a thing.
Yes,
and then also, I mean, sock yarn too is like...
She's clearly younger than us, for one thing.
Well, and also sock yarn, I mean, that's so fine. I mean, like, how long has she been knitting on those? I mean...
Oh, a while. It's a scrap project.
Okay, now I have pajama pants. I'm thinking they're going to be, like waist down and like footsies. Like, you know how the feet are...
I don't think they're going to have feet. I just think they're like lounge pants.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how long she's going to go, but yeah, I think they're like lounge pants. I don't know, but every time I think about it.
I would not be able to lounge in them.
No.
I'd be scratching, standing around scratching.
Besides just being horribly itchy, I just think about how hot it would be. So they have interesting projects that they talk about. And I've looked at quite a few of them and thought, I'll put that in my queue, but not these.
Yeah.
This is not in my fantasy queue.
All right, I'm going to have to check that out, though, because I'm curious about these pants now.
I'll see if I can link to them, put them in the show notes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have 3 that stood out for me.
Okay.
And the first one is Joanne Carroll, and who was at the Knockers retreat with us. She just finished a shawl called Renya, Reyna, by...
Oh, yeah. Nora Livola.
Livola, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, but the reason why it's beautiful, but it's 2 colors.
It's pretty.
And it has one is looks like it's a solid, and one is has some color variation in it. And what I was struck by for myself is possibly using that pattern, because when we went to the Knockers retreat, we bought the yarn that was designed for the Knockers retreat, which is kind of I believe it's sock weight. Isn't it a fingering weight or something? But
yes.
It's a solid. One skein solid and one skein has a color variation. So I thought, I was kind of thinking in my back of my mind that might work for that yarn, because I've not done anything with it yet. And I was sort of hoping, Kelly, that to have used that yarn and have that project done before we go back down to Knockers, because I'm assuming we're going again. So I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And then
it'll be really pretty. I think that would be a nice pattern to use, and it looks like the colors are evenly distributed.
Yeah.
That was one of the problems that I had trying to find a pattern.
Yes.
Is that I wanted to use all of both.
Exactly. I feel the same way. I want to use both of them. So I'm going to look at that more. The second one is Cindy Q's Freeform Cowl. And there's no pattern for it. She says in her notes, it sounds like she took a class and made this cowl in the class. It's knitting, and it almost looks sort of from the picture like it could be crochet, but it's not. It's knitting, and it's really unusual and different, and really...
it has probably, I'm guessing short rows, because it has like wedges.
Yeah.
Stripes with kind of wedges in between. So the stripes are not, not all of them go all the way around. Mm-hmm. Some come in triangularly to the others.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
It's
it's kind of a funnel shape. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like it.
And then the other one I was really struck by was the project by Single Mom Power. And the pattern is Naya's Poncho by Britta Wilford. Anyway, it's a poncho, and it has, how would you describe it, Kelly? It has sort of fair isle up around the neck and shoulders, and then goes down to stripes. I would like to have a poncho. I don't know. It goes back to what we were talking about. I mean, if you wear it with attitude.
You have to wear it with attitude.
You have to wear it with attitude. And
this one has stripes and fringe. I mean, it's a poncho.
Yeah.
This is not like large capelet.
Right. This is full-on poncho.
Full-on stripy, fringy poncho-y goodness.
Yeah.
And one of the colors in it is a really bright kind of corally orange.
Well, there's a bright, like it looks like black, gray, yellow, red, kind of a reddish orange or coral color. It's very cool. So I don't know. I think I need a poncho. Do you think I could carry off a poncho, Kelly?
I think you could, Marsha. You could carry off a poncho. Anyone could carry off a poncho as long as they do it with the right attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. It might not be the first thing you grab out of your closet because, like I said, you have to have the attitude to wear a poncho.
You have to wake up that morning with attitude.
That's right. That's right.
And then when you walk through your neighborhood and you walk through the grocery store, you have to learn to ignore all the people who are looking at you.
Well, yes, you would.
Because
I wouldn't notice.
They're either looking at you going, oh my God, look at that woman, or, oh my God, look at that woman.
I wish... This is the thing, Marsha. When that happens to you, you have to think to yourself, those people, they are thinking, my God, I wish I could pull that off.
If only
that is
I
the
had
thing. If
yes.
only I had the right attitude to wear a poncho.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So, well, she says it's the year of the poncho in her project notes.
So is there a poncho in your future?
I think there might be. I have 3 skeins of Neighborhood Fiber Company that I bought. One of them I bought in Washington, D.C. not last summer before. And then one of them, or 2 of them, I bought at Stitches to go with this one that I bought. So I have 1,200 yards, approximately, of Neighborhood Fiber Company in 3 different shades of gray. And so I put together a bundle. I was looking at sweaters, and then I decided, no, I think I really want a poncho, something that's easy to take on and off. And so I made a bundle. The first things I put in there, I have a couple of shawls, like wraps that are multicolor, Moonstruck and Edge, which are both, I think they're Lisa Much pattern. And then I have a sweater that I really like from the Pearl Soho blog called Sideways Garter Vest. And it's color block. So it's a light color on top and a dark color on the bottom and a big garter stitch floppy collar, but no sleeves. And so it doesn't use 1,200 yards, and I want to use this yarn. It's only 2 colors. And I thought, I could use the 3rd color and make sleeves, but I'm not sure I could pull that off. I really need something warm, not just, one little button at the top and then the rest of it's open. So that got me thinking about a full-on poncho. But the problem was most of the ponchos that I found didn't really lend themselves to multiple colors. The one I found was really cool. It's in the Vogue, the most recent Vogue pattern magazine, and it's called Chunky Cabled Cape. And it's knit sideways. So you've got cable, a big, giant, humongo cable going all around the bottom. Well, like the bottom half of the poncho is a big, giant cable. So going horizontally around you. And then you've got more of a plain section. And then the top section of the poncho actually folds down like a collar, and it's ribbed.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at your favorites.
My bundle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one I really liked. And I thought, well, maybe I could do one color for the cable-y part and one color for the collar and one color for the in-between part. But it really calls for a thicker yarn than what I have. It's a chunky yarn. So that one was kind of it was on the table, but kind of off the table. And then more recently, I saw one called the Denizen Poncho. It has some texture in the front, and then the back and side is 2 panels. So it's like 3 panels. One of the panels is the texture that I guess you could wear in the front, and then the other 2 are plain. And I thought, well, I could do 1 panel in each color. And so that was a possibility. And the other one I really liked is Indigo Frost. And I think the reason I like it is because it's a woman in really baggy, washed out jeans. And that's exactly the same look as the Funky Grandpa pattern. And like 3 or 4 other patterns that I have in my queue are being worn with, baggy jeans. And I think it's a look I like, but it's hard for me to imagine wearing a poncho with a turtleneck.
Because it's so warm?
But it'll be hard to take on and off. It'll be too warm with a turtleneck. And possibly too itchy if it's right around my neck there. So that's, I like it, but I am being realistic. So, and then I looked at the cabled capelet that came with the book Wanderlust that we reviewed, and then I discarded that because you hold the yarn double, and I don't want to do that. This yarn is already heavy enough. Yeah. So I think I'm going with the Ohm shawl.
Oh yes, I'm looking at this.
Just to cut to the chase here. Long story short here.
This is gorgeous. Yeah, oh, I see. This is like a
shawl. And guess what? It has buttons.
Oh, yeah. So you can use your button.
This is very cool. Button stash. And so you can button it different ways. It can be a poncho. It could be more like a jacket with really no sleeves, which I guess is a poncho, but with the buttons down the front. So you can button it on the side.
Kelly, what are you making? I'm making a jacket with no sleeves.
Yes. So yeah, you can put the buttons down the side. You can button it different ways. You can wear it as a shawl or a wrap. You can button it down the front. You can kind of fold it over so it has a collar. It looks like a very versatile thing that you can wear. The stripes are such that if I striped it the way they say, I don't think I would. It's not even, so I wouldn't use up all the yarn. So I think I'm going to have to extend the stripes.
Well, there's if you look at the other people's projects. You know, there's some that are gray. You know, maybe you could do. I'm sorry. What are the colors you have again?
Light gray, medium gray, dark gray. Because
what you could. This poncho. Is it 3 colors?
The pattern?
No, the pattern.
The pattern has 4.
4. You just get a 4th color that's bright. Because there's I was looking at some of these, and they are all. There's one I saw here. Now where was it? It looks like it's all like browns and grays, but it has a little bit of. I think it has a bright color like a red or something in it. But that might be kind of an interesting idea. Is just use all the gray and then have one bright color. You know that coordinates with it.
Maybe one of my handspuns I can just plug in there somewhere. I think that's in the plan. I'm going to be making a poncho with that neighborhood fiber company. And then I have a couple of sweaters I want to do.
I'm just like, okay, how many sweaters? A poncho? Well, this is a lot. These are some big projects you're going to be doing.
No, I know. Yeah. So, but gosh, the poncho would be good for knitting. I could just knit. Well, so the 2 Knitlet chicks are having a sweater knit along. And I have sweater quantities of yarn. And so I thought, well, first of all, I think I had talked about the curious case of the crazy stitch cardigan.
Right.
Before. This is a crochet sweater pattern by Michelle Dunaire, the same woman who made the pattern for the lattice work cardigan. And this one is a longer sleeve, like 3/4 length cardigan. It's all over lace, but it's not so open as the lattice work. I'm going to make this. It's made out of, her pattern calls for a yarn that has bamboo in it. And I think I have a exact same blend, not the same yarn, but the exact same blend, sweater quantity of bamboo cotton. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to make this. But listen to this. This is from the pattern, from the first part of the pattern. This is just so cool. Late last Friday night, I was investigating a yellowed World War I era Fleischer's knitting and crochet booklet when I first saw her. Don't get me wrong, I've seen enough antique patterns to take most in stride, but she was something special. She looked up at me with those wistful Mary Pickford eyes, and I knew I was hooked. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
And then she has, it was a curious little pattern called the Annette jacket, and I wondered, was her name really Annette? Was she going in or out the door? And was she happy or sad about that? I guess some mysteries will never be solved. So this is very, very cool, this pattern. And I'm excited to do it for the knit along, or the knit along, crochet along. It's interesting because you start in the center back and go sideways. Mm-hmm. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's one. And then the other pattern, the other sweater that I want to make is another EDT. Mm-hmm. But I've lost the yarn.
Uh-oh.
I don't know where it is. It's spirit yarn. It's a cotton linen blend. I've been wanting to swatch for about a month. Mm-hmm. And periodically I'll think, I think I'll make a swatch for that EDT I want to make. And then I'll go look for the yarn, and it's not in any of the places that I look. Which is strange because my yarn, with the exception of the stuff that I am currently using, there's not a lot of places where I have my yarn. So I'm not sure what happened to it. When I was going through my stash back last spring, I rearranged things. And I must have rearranged where I stored that particular batch of yarn because I have not been able to find it.
Well, it'll show up, but it's there someplace. You probably just stuck it someplace.
It's yarn that could be used for weaving, so I think I might have put it with the weaving stuff. So that's the next place I have to look is did I think, I'll never knit with this. Yeah. This should go with my weaving things.
I did buy, they had that, they had Hempathy on sale the other day at a fabric store out near me, but they actually sell yarn also at the fabric store, and they had all of Hempathy was 20% off, so I bought enough to make another EDT also.
Yeah, I get a lot of wear out of that.
Yeah, I wear that one a lot too. I love that pattern, and this yarn is sort of I think it's called like oatmeal or. But it's just like a kind of a browny beigey linen color, I mean, sort of like natural linen color, which I think would be really good. It will go with so many things. So
that's funny because the yarn that I'm looking for, I was thinking, is also that color. It's kind of a natural, taupey brown, cotton linen color.
Yeah, so that's funny.
We'll have matching. Matching shirts.
Oh, that's funny. Well,
who knows how long it's going to take me to get all this done, but I'm ready to do new stuff. The things I have been on the needles for a while. Yeah. And most of them are close to finished.
Well, I have to admit, I'm sort of ready to be done with the Afghan now. I always sort of reach that point, when you're a little more than halfway. Yeah. You just kind of want to be done with it, and so.
Well, maybe you need to cast on something new and have it be just one of the things in rotation.
Well, I have like 5 things on the needles right now, so I think I should.
Whatever.
Be damned! I'm going to cast on that poncho.
That's right. I can hardly wait to have my poncho. I think it's going to be great. It's like I can just wear a blanket to work.
I just need those pajama pants underneath.
Well, and no. Well, and my problem is I walk to work, so I need something that I can wear to be warm while I walk to work. But once I get to work, I don't. I don't need it. So So that'll be easy to take on and off.
Cool. All right. So Kelly, do you have any adventures planned in the next couple of weeks?
Well,
and also don't let me forget either. But I want to ask about the bees too.
Oh, okay.
The bee update. So anyway, start plans. You got any plans?
I do. As a matter of fact, next weekend I am taking Robert for his birthday to Lambtown. Right. So is Robert excited about his birthday gift? I think he is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah. And then bees. What's going on with the bees? Because there was such exciting news 2 weeks ago in the episode. So in the ensuing 2 weeks, I have been feeding them. I had some frames of honey that had been capped by other hives full of bees that had been in my garage. And I didn't want the ants to get it. Bugs get into it if you store it too long in your garage. And so I thought, well, a good use for this is to just feed them with it. So I didn't put it in the hive because I didn't want to disturb them. So I just put a bunch of frames in a bucket. We had bees from everywhere. We had the bee buffet. They were all coming to eat the honey. And then I had a jar of honey that I didn't want to use for human consumption because it was from a hive that had a bunch of earwigs.
And it's like, oh, gross. So I saved it, but I saved it as bee food. So I put that jar of honey out, and they have devoured it. It's gone. I set it on its side. It was all crystallized, so it wasn't liquid. And I set it on its side, and they've just gone through that whole jar. So again, not just my bees, but bees from all over. We had the bee buffet. So I've been feeding, and now I've gone inside and I've looked in the hive this past weekend, and they have capped brood, like 3 frames I could see of capped brood. I didn't disturb them too much, but I could see they have capped brood. It should be ready to hatch by this. It takes 3 weeks, so they should be ready to hatch by this coming weekend.
Okay.
And the population then will start to grow, hopefully. And I didn't dig in too far. I'm just assuming that there was also larvae and eggs and, uncapped brood, that there was every progression from the capped stuff down to the youngest. And that there's a healthy queen in there. They seem to be doing well. So I just keep feeding them throughout the fall, and hopefully.
I know. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. Everybody keep their fingers crossed for my bees.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I used your honey the other day. When I was down there in April, you sent me home. I think you sent me a couple jars. And but I made a chicken recipe. It's like a tagine. It has dates and carrots and whatever. But anyway, honey that is in the marinade. And I used your honey. Yeah. Okay. So it's getting used.
All right.
It's getting used.
Good.
I can't. I look at it in the cupboard and I cannot let this go to waste, because those little bees work so hard to make all that honey. You can't let a drop of it go to waste. So I've been using it.
And all the people around here, my family, they're all, do you have any more honey? No.
Oh, good.
Not now.
Oh, no.
It's all gone. You got the last of it.
That's good. I mean, it's good to have, I guess it's good that you're using it all up and everybody's using it. That's the good thing. Yeah. You don't want any of it to go to waste.
Right.
So,
it's not going to waste. And even the stuff that wasn't good for human consumption because the earwigs got to it when the hive died, I'm able to use for bee food. So, yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I'm glad I got the update. So, yeah, no big news, but it seems to be going fine. I'll keep you updated. Yeah. All right. I guess we should get back to knitting, right? I got to get through this Afghan. Yes, and I have 7 more tentacles. Yes. All right, get back to work. All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com. We have links for iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and others. Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects. Until next time, we're the 2Us, doing our part for World Fleece.